Russell-Moyle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a House that is rather archaic, and many of those things I can live with. The pomp and circumstance, the wearing funny clothes, and the walking around with a giant mace. I'm one of them that wears my own style. But what I can't abide by is the idea when rules and procedure are used in what seems like an underhand way to reduce the ability for constituents to hold us to account. Now, you can agree or disagree with your local Member of Parliament, but what is important is to know how your local Member of Parliament views an issue and how they vote on that issue when it comes in front of them. Voting, in that sense, is a cathartic process to allow you to be able to support the process of democracy even if you don't support your particular representative. Now, the problem with not bringing an issue to vote, Mr. Speaker, is that it also undermines the very process of you hearing the ayes and nays. Because what it will lead to is oppositions forcing votes. It will lead to us wasting time unless it is clear that the silence on the other side of the benches is a silence for approval rather than a silence because they are for it. Now, we have heard now and today that they agreed with the two motions that were brought forward, and that's fantastic. The example that we've heard of earlier on, the House agreed and the government agreed. That's what you're saying. The government agreed, and that's fine. That's fantastic, and I applaud the government for that turnaround. We heard earlier on about how when Labour was in government in 2009, they were defeated on the issue of Gurkhas. The defeat was quite right, in my view. And within that day, the Labour government came and made a statement in this House about how they would change their course of travel because of that vote of the House. I will do.
I thank the honourable gentleman for giving way. There's another example of this. The coalition government, for example, or rather the Conservative government after the coalition government, got defeated on the vote over whether or not we bombed Syria. The Prime Minister made a statement from the dispatch box and clarified the situation, and his words were, "I get the message." They haven't got the message yet.
Exactly. It seems they haven't got the message that they should be accountable to this House. Now, it is welcome, of course, that at their party conference and to the press lobby, they have made some minor changes on both those respective issues of tuition fees and the public sector pay cap. But the problem with decree through press release is, let me just finish the sentence, and then the problem with decree through press release is that it actually reduces the ability for this House to ensure that the detail of the volte-face is actually as the House wished. I'll give way.
On a simple point of fact, the announcement on the public sector pay cap was a written ministerial statement. I think it's important that we don't pretend that a government that uses legitimate procedures is misrepresented in that way.
Yes, but the tuition fees amendment and suggestion was not. Now, coming on to how we challenge the statutory instruments is also important in the light of the discussions that we have had on the European Union withdrawal bill. And I sat through a lot of those discussions and was reassured time and time again by government ministers. Not that I was necessarily, they were very reassuring, but they tried to reassure me that we shouldn't worry about processes through the negative procedure. We shouldn't worry about statutory instruments because the House would have the opportunity to, if the will of the House was clear, to review, to rescind and to make sure statutory instruments that overstepped the mark would not be allowed on the statute books. However, what we see here is parliamentary jiggery-pokery being used to not only make sure that to not only make sure the debate didn't come in time to be able to withdraw the statutory instrument, but also parliamentary jiggery-pokery being used to prevent a vote in the House. So therefore, the will of the House seems less strong to members out there in the public. And that is the reality of what happened. If the government had stood at the dispatch box on that day and said, we won't be calling a vote because we agree on the two issues, there would be no problem. The problem was we spent the whole day of the government benches arguing against the content of the motions and then not to vote on them. That is the problem, and that is the concern. Now, it's fine. I'm more than happy for the government, after listening to our compelling arguments, to change their mind, and I applaud you for that. But then let's have a statement about how your mind has changed and therefore policy has changed with it. It is no good, Mr. Speaker, that members of the public are unclear what the position of this House is. It is no good, Mr. Speaker, that people are left in limbo. They need to be able to hold their politicians to account, and they need to hold their government to account. And the opposition parties and backbenchers need to be able to do the same as well. And on this point, therefore, I call upon the government benches, the Treasury benches, to stand up and make a statement about when they will be bringing forward the changes that both those motions called for, the detail of how they will be doing it, and how and when they have reflected on that motion passing unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.